The Tour's relationship with France is an endless love affair. From the valleys to the mountains, riders hit the high country for their maiden trek.
They are man on man.
As the sprinters take a backseat ride, the climbers push the pedals to the highest peaks in search of Tour de France glory.
This will be the proudest moment of his life. This man has gone through all kinds of suffering.
Cadel Evans has got some power in him this afternoon.
There are no guarantees Luxembourg's finest export will keep the cherished prize by day's end. Welcome to the Tour de France. The journey has just begun. Stage 9 of the Tour takes the riders deep into the Pyrenees, from the southern city of Toulouse to the town of Bagnères de Bigorre, nestled in the heart of the high country. It's a long day in the saddle. The riders finish the day with a climb up the Col de Peyresourde and the Col d'Aspin for the downhill run to Bagnères. The peloton was on its way when a moment of drama prior to the Category 1 climbs almost derailed Evans. He was forced to make a quick bike change as a result of what seemed a minor crash. But it was in his frantic chase back to the peloton when we learned of the extent of the mishap. A ripped jersey and superficial grazes was a reminder of the uncertainty that can occur at the Tour de France. No signs of panic though from Evans, who was eventually brought back to the peloton courtesy of his reliable Silence Lotto teammates. He then received medical treatment by the race doctor before reaching the slopes of the Peyresourde. 3 riders opened up a time gap of 10 minutes, but none was seen as a threat to the overall lead. Gerolsteiner's Sébastien Lang led by example as the peloton, driven by Euskaltel-Euskadi, closed the gap with every push of the pedal. Lang is not known for his climbing strength, but dug into his reserves to clear the Peyresourde on his own. Known for his time trial skills, Lang was on course for taking his biggest result as a professional cyclist, but with the brutal Aspin still to come, would the German succeed?
Sébastien Lang now has got a little bit of respite, Phil, as he goes over the summit of the high spot of the day at just inside of 1,600 meters, and now he can face up to around about a 20-kilometer descent into the town of Arro. This is De La Fuente. He's looking for 4th place. I'm presuming that Nicolas Jalabert hasn't been caught, so 4th place for him, and he will keep his lead comfortably, Phil, now in the King of the Mountains classification.
Yes, he lives to wear that jersey for another day tomorrow in the mountains when we finish on top of Otakam, high above the city of Lourdes. He missed his newspaper there, and he wants that for up his jersey to stop the cold wind going through his chest. They're always afraid of a bronchitis setting in. It's quite chilly up here today. It's only around 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's a reaction. This is Luis Sanchez also trying to grab some points. Is he off on an escapade as well here? Might be an attack.
I don't think this is trying to get some points. I've got a funny feeling that Luis Leon Sanchez is trying to ride himself back into this bike race, because he's a man who we've always regarded as a star of the future, and a move by Sanchez on a day like this will put an awful lot of pressure on everybody else in the bike race. They will be obliged now, Phil, to come out and chase him.
Well, it's a good time to make a move because the field are preoccupied now, preparing for the descent, while if he pushes on, he may have to ride pretty hard on the Aspan. Well, he will have to ride pretty hard on the Aspan, but he might get his gain on the way downhill. That's often the way to go. We'll see as they continue back with the leader here. Sébastien Lang of Germany and Team Gerolsteiner making a very quick descent away from the Col de Peyresourde as he heads towards the climb of the Col d'Aspin. And that is the last climb before the finish in Bagnères de Bigorre. From the helicopter, the peloton are heading along the valley before they swing left onto the climb of the Col d'Aspin, and already on that climb is the leader of the Tour on the road today, Sébastien Lang. He's just about 25 miles from the finishing line, and it could be one of the best 25 miles of his life because he's still got a good lead here.
This is the group that is caught halfway between the lone leader, and still one man out in front of them, I believe, is Alexander Kuczynski, because to my estimation he's still hovering at around about 2 minutes behind the leader Sébastien Lang. This group of 4 is around about 4 minutes and 50 seconds, so they're a minute in front of the group, which is the group of the main heads of state of the main field.
And in the background, the flag of Australia here. They'll have to wait to see Cadel Evans because this is the leader on the road now. Cadel himself has been in trouble today. The blood should be drying a little bit now. The doctors patching him up as best they can. He doesn't seem injured apart from the obvious, and so let's hope he can be okay by the end of the day.
Schumacher now moves.
Well, this is interesting because he's got a teammate up there and he's going to cause a reaction from the field here. As this is Stefan Schumacher, still interested in taking back the jersey. We thought he might have been the leader and lost it, but he's now going clear here and he's caused a reaction from the field as well. Agri Tubble has sent up a rider.
Well, that's an interesting move by Schumacher because they've got the possibility here, Phil, of winning the stage, but he, for 16 seconds, is looking to try and get himself the overall lead. He's only 16 seconds adrift at the start of the day, but what this causes is a little bit of anguish.
Well, that rider is Eduardo Gonzalo. There's nobody else on the team can climb like him. He's gone up alongside Schumacher, one of the young riders in the race on the French squad, which is unusual, Spanish rider on a French team, but he's up there setting the pace right now. The back of the bunch is stretching. Schumacher there, for some reason, wanted to lift the pace, and I don't know why he did that. Pipoli on his back wheel.
Pipoli followed almost immediately by Ricardo Rico, the man whose nickname is the Cobra because he strikes first, and he's striking now.
Well, off the back goes Fabian Cancellara, the world champion, and the pressure now gone on at the front. This is Rico, and he's got behind him his best mate, Pipoli.
Well, Rico said a couple of days ago, Phil, after he got himself the victory at Superbest, he says, what I want to do now is try and help my own teammate, Leonardo Pipoli, get a victory. These men are great climbers. There's going to be a lot of alarm bells ringing here.
5 kilometres, there we are, 3 miles still to climb here, and this is for the leader, remember. High in the sky, a German cyclist who's never done this sort of a breakaway before. He's been first over the Col de Peyresourde, he's looking to win the Col d'Aspin, and then he's looking to win the stage.
And now you can see the little bit of pressure now starting to appear at the front end of the main field, but where are the heads of state? Where are the men that we're expecting to see this race blow apart? A lot of work there being done again. Ricardo Rico over on the right-hand side, the Cobra, and he's looking to strike once again the Col de l'Aspin. That's the summit of 1,500 metres, but that's not where we've got to just now. We're still looking at about 4 kilometres to go. Ricardo Rico.
The speed of Ricardo Rico here as he's gone straight through everybody there. I must say, he made David Arroyo look as though he was standing still. It is still a very large bunch there because the leaders, the projected favourites, have not attacked today. They've used their teammates to try and rip the field apart, and so far, one has to say, it hasn't worked. And Rico has now decided it's time to try and win the stage, but first of all, and here he comes, he's got to catch that lone leader.
Well, he's a good competitor, Sebastian Lang. He's got the ability, if he is not left behind by Ricardo Rico, to possibly catch him on the descent, because he will try and stay in contact. He's looking over his shoulder. He knows what's coming. He knows Ricardo Rico's reputation. But Rico now, Phil, has been given the freedom, I think, because he started the day 4 minutes behind in the overall classification. But all of a sudden, these guys now have got to start to look at that man sensibly, because if he pulls back a minute or a minute and a half on every mountain stage, he could become very dangerous.
I can't think they'll allow that trick to appear too often, but who knows when it's a matter of man on man, as it will be as we go into especially the final week of this Tour de France in the Alps. That is viciously hard. The skirmishes, though, have begun. He's right up and right gone. He won't even give him a chance to get on his wheel, and there'll be no rise of pace from Sebastian here. And he's still just over a kilometre from the summit. The gap could be opened here into a winning gap for the Cobra.